Today I'm going to replace this old faucet with this faucet. This is a, what is it? A Grohe. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not. A Grohe, I think it is, with a removable nozzle here. And let's get started with that. The first thing that you want to do is go under your sink, and you'll find these two fittings here. These valves, this one's already off, as you can see in this position. And this one I'm going to turn off in this position. The next thing after turning off the valves, what you want to do is you're going to want to loosen these up. Place a bowl under. As you can see, I have a bowl here. Place a bowl under them so that the water, any water that comes out of those pipes will drip directly into the bowl. I've already pre-loosened both of them, so I'm just going to undo them by hand here, but usually you'll need a wrench, like a crescent wrench or a pipe wrench or some sort of a wrench that's going to allow you to loosen these up. As you can see, there's still a little bit of water in these. The next thing you want to do is you want to loosen these up here. These connections from the valves. Again, I pre-loosened these. These are usually tightened with a wrench, but I pre-loosened them just to make life easier here and quicker. That takes care of one. This is the other. Now let's talk about sizing for a moment, because in this case, size does matter. So what we have under the sink in there, these two are 1/2 inch size, both of them. They're 1/2 inch size. What the Grohe comes from with, I should say, is a 3/8 inch connector. It might not appear like that in the video, but I promise you that it is. And what I did is I purchased these attachments. Okay, these will drop the size from 1/2 inch, which I have in there, to 3/8 inch, which I have here. So as you can see, I can screw that area right into there, and it will convert my size from a 3/8 inch here to a 1/2 inch, which connects me to the valve. All right, at this point, I am underneath my sinks. These are my two sinks right here. I'm in the cabinet underneath the sinks. And what we have here are the two connections for the hot and cold going up to the faucet, and the two securing, whatever you're going to call these, knobs or something, that secure the faucet to the sink. So these are mostly hand tight. I loosened mine up just a little bit earlier, but just to make sure that I can take them off and not waste time on the video. But usually they're just jammed up against the rust. As you can see, mine are jammed up against the rust here. But I pre-loosened them just a little bit just to make sure that I can get them off quickly. But they just have these little ears that you can just kind of grab with your two fingers here and rotate counterclockwise. And then they should be going loose pretty like this. And then your faucet will pretty much fall out on its own into the sink. It's ready to be pulled out. To pull out easier, just kind of put these two things kind of together so they can come out of that hole there, right there. If they're bent in awkward angles, you're going to have a harder time getting them out. And here you go. It's popped off. A lot of rust accumulates under there. Gunky. So anyway, this is the old one here. We don't need this anymore. So we'll clean all this off, and what we'll have is 3 holes left over. Now this Grohe faucet here comes with this red O-ring right here. It's a red in color. I don't know if you can see that. And the instructions say to put this on after you put all the fittings through the hole in the faucet, in the sink. Or at least that's what the picture instructions show. There are no words in the instructions. But I find it easier to just simply put it on first. So slip it over everything, and all the way down here. And you'll find that it's got its own groove right there that it falls into beautifully. So this is going to be snug up against the sink top, and then there will be a fitting from the bottom that will connect everything together. Now let's go ahead and put the faucet in. So we're going to put that through there, followed by the hot and the cold. Let everything fall in. Everything goes in, just like that. So the next thing we want to do is we want to attach this connector here to the bottom of the faucet here. So we're going to screw this into place like so. But first we need to pass all of these hoses here. Let me try to make this a little bit easier to see. So all of these hoses have to pass through here, like so. That's one, that's two, that's three, and this part here too, which makes right there, which makes four. Okay, all that has to pass, and then this goes right on top of this. And again, you want to be gentle with it because you don't want to strip the plastic. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just hand tightening it, and then there's a blue attachment right onto it, on the bottom of it, and you want to tighten that as well. Okay, it's just a quarter of a turn, but it kind of locks it into place, and that is it. That is on there. I suppose if you wanted to take some sort of a wrench and tighten that a little bit more, if you were unsecure with the hand tightening, that would be fine, but you would have to be very, very careful because there are no metal parts in that whole unit. It's all plastic. So if you squeeze it too hard and you crack that, well, you're gonna have to buy a new one, and not a whole faucet, but you're gonna have to buy a new connector. And I don't know how much that is. I don't know where to find it. I actually looked on Amazon to see if they sell them. I didn't see one on Amazon, so you would have to figure that out. But you know, again, if you want to do it beyond what you can do with your hand, and you do crack it or break it, that's on you. So be very careful if you decide to do that. So after you put the attachment on the bottom of this and you hand tightened it, before you super tighten it down, or before you even use some sort of a wrench, if you want to use a wrench, which I don't recommend doing, make sure you want to have the name Grohe right here in the front facing you. Okay, just for aesthetic reasons, and also because this handle here, which is what turns the faucet on and off and brings the heat and the cold, is going to be sitting perpendicular to the faucet, and you want to have that at a nice 90-degree angle to everything, kind of like so. At least in my case, it sits right here like this. Okay, just like that. And now you can go underneath the sink in there and tighten everything down like you want to. Again, I don't recommend using a wrench. I recommend doing it all by hand. Put a towel over the fitting itself, the plastic fitting, because it has grooves. So if you don't want to ding up your hand, then it's going to hurt after a while if you try to do it by hand. Put a towel there and tighten it as much as you can by hand. Again, if you don't have a lot of hand strength and you want to use a wrench of some sort, you can, but be super careful because there are no metal parts inside of there, all plastic. And don't crack it or that's it. You're gonna have to replace that part. Okay, back under the sink. So now here is where everything is going to start coming together. So what we want to do is we want to put the 3/8 to 1/2 inch fittings that I mentioned earlier. Make sure there's a rubber gasket in there, and then put these on. So you can hand tighten for now, but you're probably going to need to use a wrench to tighten these up even more, otherwise you're going to have a leak. Now if you're going to use a wrench to tighten these up, like I have a wrench here, you're probably going to need two of them. One to hold this part and one to tighten this part. So when you do tighten them, don't over tighten, just go like maybe 1/4 of an inch turn past where you can manually turn it hard. You don't want to over tighten these, you don't want to strip them and then you ruin it and you have to get either a new hose or a new fitting. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to connect these to the hot and cold. You want to put the rubber gasket that comes with these fittings. You want to put the rubber gasket inside here, like so, right? And then you're going to want to hand tighten everything. Make sure that the threads line up and that you're not stripping this. It should go on nice and easy. It shouldn't be hard or strappy or anything like that. Let me put these on and I will be right back. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do now is to connect the pull-out spray wand, the part that pulls out from the faucet. We're going to need to connect this to this portion right here. I don't know if you can see it. Right here. So we need to connect this, and if you've ever worked with compressors, this is very similar. It's a very similar type of connector. Where is it? There it is. It's a very similar type of connector. That kind of snaps in like almost like a compressor type. You can see this, if you can see that motion. So that plugs into that part right there, and in a compressor type connection, and then clicks in place. And once it clicks in place, that's it. I'll be right back. Let me do that really quick. The next thing to do is to connect the wade part here. What this does is it attaches to your hose that goes to your wand up, so that when you put the wand back into the faucet tip, it pulls it down. This weight pulls the hose down and holds it down. That way you don't have a loose wand on top in the sink and all that. Just that's what keeps the wand attached nicely to the faucet. Here's a thing to remember. So this weight here, you do not want to attach it right here at the bottom. Okay, so you don't want to put it here at the bottom, because it makes manipulation of that wand a lot harder when it has to pull that in that direction like this. Okay, where you want to put it though is a couple of inches past that bend. So just about right here. So wherever you determine is the lowest point of the wand right here, you want to go a couple of inches or 3-4 inches above that in the direction of the wand. So not in the direction of the connection that you made, but in the direction of the wand. So you want to put it just about where my 3 fingers are, right? 3 fingers and thumb are right about there. So let me do that now and I'll come back. So all this is just attached with a screw here. And on the other side, there's another one. Okay, so 2 screws, one on opposite sides of this weight. As you can see where I have mine attached, it's just past this bend and it's hanging vertically, ready to be pulled up and down, or rather be pulled up and then let the weight of it pull the wand back down and hold it in place. And there it is, just like that. Okay, so once everything is connected up nicely, we can go ahead and turn on the water again, the water valves. There's the cold, and there's no leak. And there's the hot, and there's no leak. And there we go, just like that. Let's go on top, see what happens here. We got water. So as indicated there, with the dial turned towards the back, is hot water, and I'm getting hot water here. And with the dial turned towards the front, I'll be getting cold water, which is exactly what I have, cold water. There you go. And then if I want to remove this, just like this, and do that, there's a sprayer. If you want to wash some glasses or you want to wash your sink, anything like that, it's towards the front, regular water towards the back with this particular model. So you have this button here. If you press towards the front, you have a sprayer. If you press towards the back, you have the water. So if you want to put this back in, just like that, it's got a little groove that it falls into, and the weight will pull it in, as you can see. And there you have it, just like that. Easy enough. All right, so you can do it now. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.